Well, the first thing when I first walk in, I look at the restaurant, I kind of get the vibe of the restaurant,
Okay.
right? So that to me, like if you read any of my reviews, I always talk about the vibe. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Because, a lot of people write about, oh, this pizza's great, you should try it. Okay. Well, when I walk through the door, like, when like you walk through the door, you can smell the wood. Like, okay, there's a wood fired oven here. So it's kind of what vibe is it trying to get across?
All right. Welcome to the Pizza King podcast. I'm your host, Hyrule Reed, joined today by special guest Frank Zocco from Frank. Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut.
From Connecticut.
From
Is
Connecticut,
is that
pizza
is that
capital of the
I
country.
was just gonna say, is that the pizza it's from the pizza capital of the world, Connecticut?
Absolutely.
Frank is a food enthusiast, content creator, reviewer, barbecue judge, which I really want to get into that. All around lover of all things pizza and food in general. Frank, welcome to the Pizza King podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us who you are and exactly what you do. I see from your title there, CFP. I know what you do, but what is that brought us here together?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been a financial planner for 30 plus years, love what I do, but I've also had a passion to cook my whole life. Right. And, coming from an Italian family, a family of cooks and chefs, it's food's always been ingrained into who I am. And a couple years ago, I really got disenchanted with what's going on in the world and the ugliness. And I'm like, we need to bring people together. And what better to do that than food?
Right.
So I just started, just jumping in and I've been a writer, as a writer in college, so I like doing my food reviews. And then someone said, well, you should have a kind of an online personality. So that's where I came up with Dough Daddy, because I'm a dad and I manage money and I make dough. So that's kind of a play on what I do.
Yeah, I like that.
And then, I have a group of friends and we've been friends for 50 plus years. And we used to get together, we get together 4 or 5 times a year, Super Bowl parties, weekend like a summer barbecue. But I'm like, guys, we're not getting any younger. We got to do this monthly. And what better place? We're in Connecticut. Let's just try a different pizza place every month. So that's where the Slice Mob came in. So the Slice Mob is just my group of friends that we get together once a month and we go out and we check out different pizza places. We try to stay away from the big commercial ones, like the Holy Trinity, but we always try to find the mom and pop shops. And a couple of us even kind of go out on recon missions, and that's fun. Like we try to find places that are off the hidden path, hidden gems that can accommodate a group our size. Because it started out at probably about 3 people. And lately it's been 15 to 20 people show up. So I can't show up at a last minute to mom and pop place and say, hey, here we are. So I always give them a heads up and I'm like, if you can accommodate us, great. We're not looking for breaks. We're not looking for discounts. We just want to have a good time. And if you're okay with that, and everyone has been wonderful. And then what we do after every lunch, everyone throws in a little bit of money and we make a donation to a hunger organization. So we try to turn it into something good. The majority of us are or have been first responders. So, police, fire, ambulance. And we always try to give back to the community. So that's kind of a way we get together, enjoy our friendship, and then make it worthwhile. And then from there, I just started doing videos and love to cook. I've got culinary training and I do, kind of cooking videos and still trying to find my niche there. But I'm just having a lot of fun.
That does sound like a whole lot of fun. I would love to be able to get all of my friends together once a month, have some pizza, make a difference in the community, and just kind of just have fun with my people.
Yeah. Life's too short not to.
What was the first place that you guys decided to, take the 3-man slice mob to?
So it's funny. We ended up at a place called Fuco's in Cheshire, Connecticut. And it was just the 3 of us. 3 of us went because no one else could make it that day. And it was really before we even called ourselves the Slice Mob. So 3 of us went and we're like, this is cool. Right. And then the next month we went to Zapardi's and it got a little bit bigger. And then the next month I'm like, we're getting some momentum here. So that's when I came up with the name Slice Mob, exploring the world one slice at a time. We went to a little place in Durham, Connecticut called Carmine's. And I'd never been to Carmine's, but I'd heard a lot about it. So one of my buddies pulls up, he calls me, say, "Frank, there's no place to sit inside. It's really a takeout." And it was December and it was raining outside. And I'm like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" Right? So we all get in there and there's probably 8 of us. And we took up the kind of the whole counter area. And Heath, the owner's like, "Guys, just relax, have fun. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it." And it was just so much fun. And it was the first time that I realized the impact of social media on this because I had posted on a national pizza group just for ha-has. I'm like, "Hey, if there's anybody in Durham who's around, you come join the Slice Mob. We'd love to meet up with some other pizza fans." Not thinking anything of it. So we walk in and the owner Heath is there and he says, "Yeah, my son told me you guys were coming." I'm like, "How does your
How
son
did he
even
know?
know?" And my buddy Bry's like, "Frank, you posted it." I'm like, "People actually read that?" It was like, wow, because my age, my generation, I'm like, yeah, that whole posting in YouTube and all that stuff. I'm like, whatever. I didn't fully get it. And I'm like, wow, so actually people do read this and they do just kind of grew from there. And he accommodated us and we just had a great time. I'm like, all right. And it kept getting bigger and bigger. So that's kind of how we started. But Vuko's is a great place. We ended up going back a couple months ago. I reached out to George, the owner, and I'm like, "Hey, listen, you are our first stop, and I'm up to like 15, 20 people, and it's a small place." I'm like, "Can you accommodate?" He's like, "Absolutely." And he's like, "I've actually seen what you do online, and I really respect it." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, come on down." So I went in. He took me in back. We took pictures, videos. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And now well, most of the places know that we're coming, and they know who we are. And again, we're not looking for any giveaways, any discounts. We want to support small businesses and then we want to give a little bit back to the community.
I think that's the biggest difference between what we see now and with social media and food influencers per se, where they're looking to, I don't know, looking to make some money or charge a restaurant or let me give you some exposure. You guys are just honestly to me, what you're doing, you're the kind of customer that every owner wants to see come in the door. Someone who does it, who's just doing it for the love. You're not looking for a deal. You're not looking for a coupon. You're not looking to, tear a business down or hurt anything in any way. You're just looking to lift everybody up. How did
Absolutely.
how did you guys decide that that was, the direction that you wanted to take it in?
It just kind of happened that way. And I'm the writer of the group and I've been doing reviews for a while. And I've always made it a point. If I have a problem with you, if you own a restaurant, I'm gonna talk to you personally. I'm gonna talk to the manager, the chef, the owner, and I'm not gonna go public with that because everyone has an off day. And what ended up happening is I only post positive reviews. If there's an issue, you and I have it one on one, and if it reoccurs, then it is what it is. I just don't go back. I think in my whole life, I think I've written 2 bad reviews, and these restaurants I will never set foot in again. I'm not going to say who they are, but they're not pizza places. But it was just one of those things, and we're all at a point in our lives where most of us are close to retirement. I own my own business. I control my calendar, make a good living. I don't need handouts. Some of my buddies are already retired, being in first responders, they tend to retire a little bit early.
Yeah.
So none of us are hurting for any money. And these businesses, they run tight margins and we're not looking for any of that. It's just, and some have tried giving us free food. Some of us just tried giving us discounts. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. We're here to have a good time. And if you can get some more business out of it, great. And, so yeah, that's kind of how we ended up doing what we're doing.
I love that, and I hope that more owners understand and embrace what you guys are doing. And hey, send out an invite. Hey, let's. I don't know where you guys are coming next month. Come to my place. We'd love to have you. You
Yeah,
get any of that?
yeah, I've already starting to get a couple of those, and people are like, "Hey, come check us out." And what I'll do is I call it kind of the Slice Mob Recon Team. So myself and I'll grab another one of my buddies or two, and we'll just go check it out. Because some places just can't handle the volume,
Right.
and that's okay. They're like your local neighborhood places that they have seating for 3, and it's mostly takeout. And but if the pizza's good, we'll figure out a way to do it. But we try to again go out and maybe scout it out. So it's a fun mission, right? We go out and kind of eat that way. But yeah, no, we've been getting people that are like, hey, and a lot of them start to complain about the other influencers and I get it. People are looking to make a living, and everyone's got to make a living, and there's a cost to doing this, but I'm just at a different point in my life, and
Right.
I've spent my whole life giving back and volunteering. I just can't, I'm going to get a $20 pizza for free. Like it's just, no, I'm going to pay you. And the ones that try giving us discounts, I make it up in the tip. So, but yeah, it's just, I'm not not that kind of person. And not again, not to belittle anyone who is, because again, we're all trying to make a
Yeah,
living.
everyone's got their thing, right? That
Yeah,
it is what it
yeah.
is. But in terms of building a bond and embracing the whole community aspect of it, I think what you're doing is the right way to, interact and engage with a local business.
Yeah, I
Right or
agree.
right. I mean, nothing wrong with what those guys do. I get it. I have a
Yeah,
restaurant. We sometimes you need them and you need that traffic or that influence that they can give you, right?
right,
Especially
right.
because eyeballs are everything. People want to see different
Absolutely.
perspectives. They want other folks' opinions. I just like to be more positive when it comes to things.
Yeah, yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, my Facebook account has been monetized, so I make a little bit off of that, but that surprised the heck out of me.
To get money
Um,
from Facebook.
yeah, every month I get a check from them. I'm like, "Alright, this is kinda cool." And, it changes a lot because now I have to I can't use copyrighted music, so I have to create my own music to go along with my videos or use, royalty-free music. But my YouTube channel's about halfway there to get monetized. But again, I'm not if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just having a good time with it.
I think it's all a testament to the power of community and real influence. Has there been a favorite style of pizza? Like, obviously, I know where you are. I
Yeah.
understand, you're in the pizza capital of Connecticut.
Yes.
But is there a favorite style for you guys for the slice mob in general or for you?
Well, growing up Italian and predominantly Sicilian, I was always growing up like on the thick bakery style pizzas. So I like the Sicilian, I like the grandmas, but there's just a lot of dough there, right? And as much as I love it, I can't eat a lot of it. So we all kind of gravitated towards more the thin crust, New Haven style, Neapolitan style. So that's kind of where we end up going. We've been to some places where they've had Detroit. Some places have very good Detroit style pizzas. Some places don't have such good Detroit style pizzas. But we really try to kind of stick within that thinner crust. We haven't ventured down the road to the Greek style pizzas, the ones that are kind of baked in the pan, more tender dough, spicier sauce. But it definitely is that thinner crust because you can certainly eat a lot more of that, and the toppings shine through on that.
Absolutely. I want to go into your barbecue judging experience
Okay.
because that was something that stood out as I was doing my research on you. Barbecue judge. What qualifies someone as a barbecue judge?
So, pretty much a pulse and being able to eat. No, I'm kidding. It is one of those things where years ago, I joined the Kansas City Barbecue Society, and they have their judging. So you have to go through a class, and you're more or less just learning the rules of the contest. And they cover a little bit of food, but like, you've got to understand flavor profiles and, the heat, the sweet, the umami, the tang. You got to understand all of that kind of stuff. You don't understand that, you're not going to be a good judge.
Right.
But it really is more to understand the rules. And then, you have to, they have contests, you have it signed. And the more you do them, you can become like a master judge. The problem in Connecticut, there's just not a lot of contests anymore. And, I don't get paid for any of it. And I do have a family still. My son is 30. He's getting married in October, but my daughter's 15 and she's very active in sports. So it's hard to like, hey, I'm going away for the weekend to judge a contest up in, out of state. It's not fair to anybody. But it's yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people through that, and I've been smoking barbecue for years, and it's just I've got a couple smokers in the backyard. I got a couple pizzas ovens back there, and I love good barbecue.
Hardest discipline for me to master is the pit. Like I understand, pizza very well and dough and I can make pizza. I cannot barbecue. What's the secret?
Really?
I can't do it.
It's patience, it's fire control, managing the fire temp, knowing what temperatures you want certain meats to be at, wrapping versus unwrapping, spraying versus unspraying. And you got to understand what each one of these things, what they do to the end product. So what I always say is, okay, kind of begin with the end in mind. So, okay, what do I want?
Right.
If I'm looking to get, brisket that sliced, but I want a nice dark bark, but I also want the burnt ends. Do I want the burnt ends more competition style where there's just like the bark on the sides, or do I want like restaurant style burnt ends where there's bark on all sides? And my wife always tells me, she's like, no, when you're doing burnt ends, you got to get bark on all sides because that's the best part. So I say, okay, now I know what I need to do. So, I cook the whole brisket and then I get it to a certain point. I cut the point off let the flat rest, and then I cube it, reseason it, and I throw it back on the smoker because the point can handle more heat. And then I get the crust of the bark on all sides of the burnt ends, and I call them little bites of heaven because you just pop these things that's hard to stop.
Oh, love it.
But yeah, it's just, and a lot of it's experimenting too, right? It's took me a lot. The first time I ever made a pulled pork, I didn't realize that the thermometer, rookie mistake, was not accurate on the smoker that I was given. My wife had given me one for a present many years ago, which she may have come to regret turning me into that. But and I'm like, it was finally 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I put the thing in the crock pot to finish it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm handing in my barbecue card. I'm done. Now this was before I was a judge, right? This was many many years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just horrible. I'm so disenchanted, but I'm like, I'm not giving up. Oh, I invest in better equipment because it really is temperature management. Like if your thermometers are not accurate and
Time is gonna be way off.
absolutely. So I cook by temp, but I also cook by touch, by feel, by look. You just use all your senses. And if something doesn't make sense, you got to, okay, what's going on? Like it says it's at the right temp, but it doesn't feel right. Well, I'm going to let it go a little bit.
Do you ever compete in any of the competitions?
I have never competed. I would have loved to compete, but I've never had the opportunity to compete. I didn't want to compete on my own at first. I wanted to be part of a team. The problem is once I go down these rabbit holes, I go down
You're
deep.
all
So I
in.
have to be very careful. Like if I had got into competition barbecue, then, so I'm like, all right, let me cooking it in the background and in in the backyard for my family, my friends. I've done it for local firehouses when they've suffered a line of duty death and they were, I bring food to them. And I keep doing it that way. It's just, so if an opportunity presents itself, yeah, I'd like to compete, but I don't want to run the show because if I go down that rabbit hole, I may not be coming up.
I'm sure your family would appreciate you, the restraint there too, right?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
personal restraint. And so,
Absolutely.
experience as a judge, you really got to learn the ins and outs of, the technical aspects of barbecue. Do you bring those skills over to the pizza side when you guys are visiting new places? Like, what's the first thing you look at when a pizza hits the table and you guys are there to try it for the first time? What's the first thing that you think and look at?
Well, the first thing when I first walk in, I look at the restaurant, I kind of get the vibe of the restaurant,
Okay.
right? So that to me, like if you read any of my reviews, I always talk about the vibe. Sometimes I put it early on in the article, sometimes it's later on, but I always talk about the vibe of the restaurant. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Because, a lot of people write about, oh, this pizza is great. You should try it. Okay. Well, when I walk through the door, like, when like you walk through the door, you can smell the wood. Like, okay, there's a wood fired oven here. So it's kind of what vibe is it trying to get across? And then you look at it, and I like a little char. And, coming from barbecue, char is crust. It's a smoky flavor. It's not burnt. And that is some of the biggest arguments that I see people having. I just don't even engage them anymore because it's just exhausting. People coming from other parts of the country, like, oh, you want a New Haven style pizza, throw in the oven at 1,000 degrees for 3 hours. And I'm like, hey, not funny anymore.
There's a difference.
Yeah, and a char. So, I look for some char for some coloring. And one of the things that we judge on in barbecue is appearance, right? We look at appearance, we look at taste, we look at tenderness. And so how does this pizza look? Does it make me want to dive in? Or does it make me like, yeah, those meatballs look kind of dry and maybe they're delicious, but they don't look, so I look at what is it that's in front of me. Do I want to dive in and just eat this thing? And so that's kind of the first thing I look at. And then, I always look at the undercarriage, make sure it's not super burning. Nothing it ever has been. I don't, a lot of people like, oh, it's got flop, it's got no flop. Like certain pieces are just going to flop and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And,
You put 4 toppings on something,
yeah,
the weight is just not
absolutely.
gonna hold it.
Absolutely. And, and like, some places put olive oil in their dough. And, and that makes it more tender and you're going to get more flap. Like a New York style pizza slice is there's olive oil in that
Mhm.
to make it more tender because in New York, a slice is you're folding it and you're eating it on the go. You don't see a lot of that in traditional Connecticut pizzas, but you do. There's some places. And if there is, you're going to probably get a little bit of a flop.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's,
A deal breaker for you?
not a deal breaker for me. As long as I get the cornicione, the crust with a little bit with some char there, with some smokiness there, the crunch there, I'm good.
Do you guys ever debate on, pizza when you're sitting around like, "Oh, man, this is the best one ever." You're like, "Mm, like last month a little bit better."
To an extent, the problem is it has gotten so big that I have a tough time now talking to everybody because it seems like every new get together, there's 2 or 3 more people that I'd never met before, but they saw my posts on the Connecticut Pizza Forum. It's a forum I run on Facebook. We're not huge, but we're at about 4,000 people. Excuse me. And people are walking through the door that I'd never met before. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So I'm like, I'm trying to talk to them, and it's hard to talk to 20 people when you only have like an hour, hour and a half. But
Yeah,
we do afterwards. We'll talk about, oh, this is really good. We're not. I see groups of guys that will go out and they'll each rate their pizzas. They'll give it a numeric score,
yeah.
and then and I'm like, I'm not into the scoring end of it. There's a lot of other people that can score. They can do that. I'm like, I either like it or I don't. But yeah, no, we definitely have discussion, but it's not. Nothing has ever been like, oh my God, this was absolutely horrible. It's,
Right.
because I'm also making sure we're going to good places.
That's what the recon team is for.
That's what recon is. Absolutely. I got a reputation to uphold.
You also do a lot of, besides the barbecue and the pizza. I see on your website and on your page, you cook a lot of things.
I do. Yeah.
What's the hardest thing to cook well?
Trying to scale something that's like over the weekend, my son wanted to come over, was, him and his fiance and her mother, and he wanted to cook dinner for everyone with me. So we made fresh pasta from scratch. And he's like, can we stay? Yeah. Yeah. My island in my kitchen is 10.5 feet long, and that thing was like almost twice the size of
Oh
that
my.
island. Obviously, I cut it into 12-foot lengths, and then I made fettuccine out of it. But yeah, it was kind of cool. And he didn't want a tomato sauce. I'm like, how we do it like cacio e pepe, which is, one of the 4 Roman pastas, and I love Roman pastas. Uh, so I ended up having 2 pounds of fettuccine, and I'm like, this is something cooking for 2 people, 3 people is very easy. When you're cooking for a lot of people, it's like, it was hard to kind of incorporate everything. So those are the struggles that I face, right? When it's like, when learning to scale up. But, technically, I I made, profiteroles the other day, and, you gotta make a pâte à choux, which is very
You
it's a
got.
s
I'm gone.
so, the cream puff pastries, right?
Okay.
It's little cream puffs, they're profiteroles, and the dough is made a very special way, and you've gotta cook it, dry it out, and then you incorporate eggs, and that's what, the eggs and the steam give it the lift. Well, I didn't finish the first part of it, and I won't get too technical, so it didn't dry out as much, but it looked like it was fine, but I was doing other things, and then I went to incorporate my eggs, only took half the eggs. I'm like, "Oh, this isn't gonna be good." And they didn't rise as much as they should have. So I was like mortified, and I was bringing some to my in-laws, and I told my wife and my daughter, I'm like, I'm not bringing these. These are an embarrassment. And they're like, these things are delicious. Just bring them. No, no one's going to know. You're the only one. But I feel like I got to tell people there were some technical errors here. It's not the perfect profiterole, but
I think that matters more when it's something that is when you have to do it for business, right? And you have to sell it, and it's
yeah,
got to be consistent. But
right.
I think you get a lot more. Maybe you get a lot more forgiveness from the crowd or from the audience than that's good. You're probably
Yeah.
just being way too hard on yourself.
Yeah, and I always am. And that's how I get better. You know, push myself and
So
and
the
my mistakes.
pit, you bake, you barbecue, you make pizzas. What what is it? Is there anything that you just stay clear of?
I haven't done a lot of seafood. It's coming from an Italian family, people are like, "Really, you don't eat a lot of seafood," and I never did growing up. I just never really liked it. As I became an adult later in life, I've started eating it. My wife's family is from Ireland, and they have a house off the coast of Ireland, and it's a very, fisherman's friendly community. So whenever we go there, there's a ton of seafood that they eat, and I'd always think, I'm gonna hold off. But I've gotta start getting into that. We had a project where I had to cook salmon for 50 people, and people are like, "Oh my God, the salmon is so good." I'm like, "Oh, okay, good, because this is the first time I've ever done it."
I
Uh,
did. I didn't even try it while I was doing it.
yeah, yeah. So my daughter's like, "Why don't you make this for us at home?" I'm like, all right, all right. So that's my next thing I want to get into. I'll start doing more seafood, but up until now, I've kind of stayed away from.
I think seafood, and your smoker may be a good combination.
Yeah, no, everyone says there's certain fishes that you can smoke and it's phenomenal, and you know, um, So just got to play around with it.
Yeah, I've got these like cedar planks that I guess you're supposed to use, and you can smoke fish or something on it. I've never tried it.
Yeah.
It's all too intimidating for me.
Yeah. No, well, you know what? You just got to do it because the first time you do anything, it's intimidating. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's not that hard. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it is.
I think folks in my family assume that I love to cook. I'm like, I like making pizza.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like I don't want to make anything else. Everything else is microwave for me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Best pizza city in America.
Best pizza city in America. I'd have to say New Haven. And I might lose my Connecticut card and my slice mob status if I didn't. But with that said, like I have been to Chicago. Had pizza in Italy, pizza in Ireland, which was interesting. But people say, oh, go to Chicago, it's deep dish, it's not that good. I'm like, well, first of all, if you're in Chicago, you're not eating deep dish every Friday night. It's kind of a novelty. Once in a while, it's a good pizza to have, and I'll make some. We have some in the freezer. When we go out there, we'll enjoy it. I also like their tavern style, that
Mhm.
super thin, super sheeted cured dough. That's good too. Love a Detroit pizza. I love the fried cheese along the edge, right? The frico. To me, there's a couple places in Connecticut that do it really, really well.
Yeah,
But I think my heart and soul is really, and I'm a basic kind of guy. I like just a red sauce, not even cheese, just grated cheese and red tomato sauce. Because
like tomato.
when you do it like that, you can't hide behind anything. Your ingredients have to be really good. The end of last year, my daughter plays volleyball. We were in Rhode Island for a tournament, and one of my wife's friends came to watch her play, and she brought some of the Rhode Island red strips, the pizza, and it's like the old Sicilian bakery style pizza served at room temperature. And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my god, this is so good. It's a thick, reduced. It's heavily cooked, reduced, but it's instead of light and fresh like the tomatoes are on a tomato and a Connecticut pizza, because they don't typically cook their sauce. This is cooked, and it's very rich and very flavorful. And so I came home and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. And we had a Christmas party, and I'm like, I made it for the Christmas party because it was so good.
I like it. There's still a few places around Tampa, like old Cuban bakeries that still serve pizza that way too,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. You kind of mentioned it a little bit, but ingredients, what matters more, dough, sauce, or cheese or toppings?
Well, when you're cooking with just a few ingredients, you need the good stuff. Well, if I'm doing a pizza and I have the time, I try to do a 3-day cold fermentation using, depending on the type of pizza. Like if I'm doing a traditional New Haven pizza, I'll use purebred flour. If I'm cooking in my uni or my gazzi and I'm making Neapolitan, I'll use like a Caputo 00. That I only ferment maybe 24, 36 hours. Get it in the oven there, and literally cooks in 60 to 90 seconds. Yeah, and then if sometimes I just play around. Sometimes it's, I do like we have a Super Bowl party every year at my buddy's house, and my cousin and I are in charge of the pizzas, and I'll make the dough. And this time I did a 70-30 mix of bread flour and Caputo 00. I think, it came out nice and crispy, but I was getting a little worried because, we're cooking in his oven and we bring our pizza steels and we get everything going. And the first pizza comes out great. And then the second and third pizzas go in, and I notice a lot of, like, air bubbles forming, and I'm like, "What is going on here? This dough all fermented at the same time. Why are these bubbles happening?" And I'm like, "What did I do? I screwed something up," and I'm, like, thinking, and then I realized my friend has a 6-year-old, and he was helping us make the pizza. He was stretching it, and I was watching him. He was sealing the ends of the dough, and not, instead of pushing the air out, he was sealing the ends, and I'm like,
All that, it all.
okay, I know it's not me. All right, good. So I just, you end up like he did that. I'd have to dock it with a fork, which I don't like to do, but you got to do what you got to
Yeah,
do.
got to protect the final product.
Yeah, but sauce. I don't put a lot of stuff in my sauce. I don't like an overly spiced sauce. So to me, it is, you got to have high quality tomatoes. So I'll use like Stanislaw products. So I'm making big ones because they just sell the number 10 cans. But if not, I'll use like a Cento or a Sclafani or Bianco di Napoli, that
Mhm.
type of stuff. Sometimes I'll crush them by hand. Sometimes I buy them already crushed. But I always taste it first before I use it. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Just a little bit of salt. And 9 times out of 10, there's just a little bit of salt in the tomato sauce, and it just goes on like that. And maybe post bake, I'll add a little bit of oregano if people want it. But and then, mozzarella, I try to, when I'm cooking for big ones, get grande mozzarella. There's a couple of restaurant places around here that sell it. It's a fun, it's a half day. I go down with a cousin or buddy of mine, and we have pizza. We go to the restaurant places and we pick up all the stuff, and then we buy some of the locally made sodas and make
Yeah,
make
make
a
it
half day.
make fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do believe in good ingredients. Like if you're gonna put out a product, even if it's for friends or family, I believe you gotta have good ingredients.
I agree. And if you're gonna sell it, it's even more important.
Yep, absolutely.
Don't sell crap. Are there any toppings you refuse to eat?
Not yet. And I know people are like that whole pineapple thing, and it's like, from a culinary point of view, the sweetness of the pineapple, the saltiness of the ham, it kinda works, but I don't think I've ever really refused. I know some of my buddies, have gone to Ireland and Scotland. They've sent me pictures of haggis on pizza, and I have not tried that yet.
What
So
is
I'm not.
what is
It's a delicacy over in Ireland and Scotland, and made with things that you don't usually see around this country, like different body part. And I've got to look up the exact what's in it, but in the United States, we're very particular over what parts of the animal we eat.
uh,
In other parts of the world, they eat everything. Nothing goes to waste.
yeah,
Their motto is have respect for the animal. If it died for you, don't let
consume
anything waste.
consume the animal.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it looks interesting.
Yeah,
It's just
they also have like blood pudding and stuff, and it is what it is. Yeah. But I haven't tried that yet.
all right. Well, opposite ends. If there was one topping that you had to choose and have it on pizza forever, what would that be?
I'm a simple guy. I like
Okay.
tomato sauce and grated pecorino romano. Like to me,
Super simple.
it's simple, but it's gotta be done right, you know? I mean, I could say the cup and char pepperoni, I like the little crispiness, I like the little, the shots of oil that develop in the bottom of it. I've had some excellent, like, buffalo chicken pizza with homemade cutlets on it. There's a pizza place not too far from me. He's got an off menu item, which is I walk in and I'm like, you know what I want? He's like, okay. And it's a vodka sauce with, high quality mozzarella. He makes his own cutlets. And then, freshly whipped ricotta. And it's like, it's delicious. It's amazing. But if I had to pick one, I think I would just go with the red sauce and the grated pecorino.
Simple and elegant. I like it.
Yeah.
If you could take the slice mob anywhere in the country for a pizza trip, where would you go? Anywhere in the
Anywhere
world.
Anywhere in the world. I gotta tell you, I had some phenomenal pizza, and I was shocked about this, but Bonci in Rome. And Gabriele Bonci, he's got a place in Chicago now, which I haven't been to yet, and I was reluctant to try it because, he was on Netflix, and he was part of the Chef's Table. They did a thing on pizza. And his story, like all Netflix stories, they kinda move you down this emotional line, like, you go up, you go down, you're like, "Oh my god, is it?" And then it gets better.
Funny.
But I had taken a family trip to Italy, and we were staying in Rome because that's where my stepfather, who he passed away several years ago, but that's where he was from, so I wanted my mother to see where he was from. So I took her there, and I'm like, "We gotta try it out, we're here," and it was amazing pizza. Now there he had tripe on pizza, and I didn't try that at the time. But to me, it was like, that would be a cool trip because I think the pizza, it's back then, it didn't I was afraid it was gonna be overhyped, and it was not. It lived up to the reputation. It was
So
it was excellent.
take the slice mob to Rome.
Yep.
I love it.
Maybe a slice mob recon, I don't know, we'll see.
I think that well, recon always has to go first.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's in the universe now. We're gonna see if we can make that happen.
Alright, love it.
Frank, this has been pretty cool. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. As a in your 9 to 5 world as a financial planner, I'm sure that you always have to spend, just like a business owner, you have to take, well, and you are a business owner, you have to take the time to plan things correctly, do your research, put the work in. There's always going to be these struggle periods. And, on this show and in my business, we always talk about the importance of developing leaders and the importance of having a positive outlook and a great mindset and being great communicators. Is there anything that you could share or even give some advice to someone who listens to this show and they're thinking about possibly opening their own pizzeria, or they've been making pizzas in the backyard and someone told them they should sell them, and they're going to explore it. So as a business owner and as a pizza lover and food lover, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about making that jump?
That's interesting because I have been asked many times, when am I going to open up a place? And to me, it's like, I'm doing it because I enjoy it. And now if it becomes work, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll enjoy it. I don't know. Oh, the financial advisor comes out in me. It's like, measure 4 times and cut once. But if you're going to do it, have a business plan, hire a consultant maybe to help you with that business plan and to work out some of the details. Cause I'm a firm believer in having outside objectivity, because, in your mind, you think you know everything and you think you've covered everything and you haven't overlooked anything. But having an outside consultant to come in and talk to you about little things, little tweaks that might help. Again, having a plan, a financial planner, we're big on planning, right? So people tell me they want to retire. I'm like, well, you got to come to me when you're starting work and not when you're about to end work, because it's very different. So have a plan, follow through on that plan, be flexible with that plan, have enough money set aside, because there are going to be drawbacks. There are going to be rainy days. There are going to be things that you just never anticipated that are going to pop up. And like I tell people in the financial plan, one of the most boring part of a financial plan is having a cash reserve. But that cash reserve bails you out. If you're driving down the road and your transmission falls out, you need $5,000 to get that fixed. If
Right.
you have to go to credit card debt, now you're paying that $5,000 back over 10 years and it's costing you $15,000 with interest. So have the cash reserve so you don't go into further debt, and just, again, plan it out and be thick skinned, because there are people out there that they just have mean genes. And I don't know any other way to put it. It's people like to fight for the sake of fighting. And I know that my YouTube channel is getting there, because I'm starting to get the comments already about stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so I know that I'm hitting people at all walks of life, because it's,
The
some of the, yeah,
negativity, right? Yep.
yeah. And even on like my pizza place on Facebook, the Connecticut Pizza Forum, I've had to shut people down, because it's like, listen, if I post a picture of something that I like, if you don't like it, just scroll on by. And, like, I just wrote a review of a small place in Middletown. It was a newer place and it was a little bit different, but it was good. And people, and this one person in particular, is just like being very nasty. And I'm like, there's no place for negativity here. I let the first one go, and then they came back and I'm like, you're done. I just banned them, because I
Yeah,
can't. People have the right to their own opinion, but you don't have to bring anybody else down. So it's a long way to say, yes, have thick skins and be prepared to make mistakes, as we all do, and just learn from them. Don't get discouraged.
absolutely. That's great advice.
I mean, I've been doing financial planning for 30 years. The first 5 years were like, I can't tell you how many times I just wanted to hang up my hat. It was a lot of failure. And I had to tell myself, 10 out of the 10 people I talked to, 9 are going to say no. So I had that mindset that every time somebody said no, I'm just one step closer to taking on a client. A little bit different when you're offering food, but it's that same mindset. You just got to grind it out. You got to grind it out. You never know when you're going to hit that tipping point. And then once the tipping point comes, you know, you're good, but it's a
Yes,
struggle. It's
sir.
a lot of work.
Yeah, but you just gotta just show up every day willing to take on whatever comes with it.
Yep, absolutely.
You also have a strong social media presence, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Tell us how to find you and where's the best place to connect with you and read the reviews and follow the journeys of the Slice Mob.
Yeah, so I'm kinda all over the place right now. So, I have a website, doughdaddycooks.com, and that's kinda like the central. Everything is there. I have recipes, I have cooking techniques, I have all my restaurant reviews, I have Slice Mob meetups, everything is there. But if you're on YouTube, it's DoeDaddy Cooks as well. So it's pretty much anything with DoeDaddy Cooks. You'll find me on Instagram. I have a Facebook, or Frank Zocco, Zocco. You'll find me on Facebook that way, Instagram. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But YouTube is doedaddycooks.com. I'm sorry, DoeDaddy
DoeDaddy
Cook. Yeah,
DoeDaddy
yeah.
Cooks on YouTube, DoeDaddyCooks.com. We'll drop the links in the show description. This was again a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me and working through the technical stuff with me.
Oh,
Monday mornings aren't always a smooth road, but we make
no, no, they're not. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah, we are much stronger for this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.